Hello and welcome to Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I am Kayode Okikiolu in Abuja. President Muhammadu Burhari has condemned yesterday's gruesome killing of Deborah Samuel, a second-year student of Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto, following allegations of blasphemy. President Burhari said the news of the killing of the young lady by fellow students was a matter of concern and demanded an impartial, extensive probe into all that happened before and during the incident. While condoling with the family of the deceased student and wishing all those injured a quick recovery, the president called for calm while investigations continue. Well, it's the end of the road for 9 ministers, in fact, 10 in President Muhammadu Buhari's cabinet who are seeking elective offices in next year's election. As early as about 10 a.m. today, President Buhari hosted the outgoing ministers to a valedictory meeting in the council chamber where he thanked them for their sacrifice and contribution. In total, 10 ministers are leaving, although 9 were physically present. The former Minister of State for Education, Emeka Wajiba, who is a 10th, was absent with reason. In a briefing after the meeting, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, disclosed that some of the ministers have tendered their resignation, while others are in the process of doing so. So take a look at the members of the cabinet who are concerned. We have the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi; Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio; Labor and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. Now, we'll come to that in a moment. Also, Timothy Silva, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources; Obonaya Onu for Science, Technology and Innovation. And the list goes on and on, as you can see the pictures right there. But a name, an additional name was added, it will seem, today, and that's the Minister of State for Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Tayo Alashuadura, who is seeking a legislative seat, just like Dame Pauline Talon, who was a Minister for Women Affairs. So that essentially is a picture of what that looks like when it comes to the ministers seeking elective office. But if you crunch the figures, so 10 of them or thereabouts, that's about 25% attrition rate in the president's cabinet. But then he promised that the vacancies will be filled very soon without delay. Take a listen.
You will recall that at the last Federal Executive Council meeting held Wednesday, 11th May 2022, I directed that all ministers and other political appointees who aspire to contest for elective offices in the 2023 general elections should resign their current appointments. I note that some have complied while others are in the process of doing so. I would like to use this opportunity to commend your decision and courage to contest for elective offices and your compliance with my directive. I also wish to thank you for your invaluable services to this nation through your contributions as cabinet members. I wish you success in the upcoming elections and in your future endeavors. The departure of some cabinet members has undoubtedly created a vacuum that should be filled, that will be carried without delay, so that the business of governance will not suffer.
Well, some have called this a masterstroke by the president. But then what happens when you have to choose between resigning from a cabinet appointment, which is sure, and having to face an election which is unlikely to favor you? Well, the Minister of Labor was first to make that cold choice just hours after the president spoke at that meeting, where he attended, by the way, the valedictory meeting. The Minister for Labor and Employment made a U-turn and withdrew his presidential ambition. In a statement signed by him, he says that he took the decision to help the president weather this last lap of his administration. In his words, take a look at what the minister said. My declaration was sequel to pressure on me from my constituents, political associates, friends, and other well-meaning Nigerians who felt I possessed the necessary qualifications and experience for the job. Some of these supporters even taxed themselves to procure the expression of interest and nomination forms of our party, the APC, for me. He went on to say the forms, however, are yet to be filled and submitted. And today, the 13th of May, I had an audience with the president as a follow-up to the one I had earlier with him on 11th of May, and having also consulted widely with my family, constituents, supporters, and well-wishers, he says, it is my pleasure to announce the withdrawal of my interest and earlier decision to contest the office of the president in the 2023 general elections. So, will the president accept his withdrawal and keep him on board? That's one big question. And then, what happens to the 100 million naira he paid to purchase the forms which he says are yet to be filled and submitted? Big questions out there. Clearly a very intriguing one. But let's move away from that and touch on election security. Well, INEC is continuing with its meeting with election stakeholders, and today it was a turn of security agencies, where the chairman of a commission again raised concerns about the security situation in the country, saying that the time to act is now, as they still have about 9 months to go till the elections. I'd like you to take a listen.
The general security situation in the country and its impact on the electoral process is a source of concern to the Commission. However, we are confident that with 9 months to the 2023 general election, there is enough time to respond to the security challenges and secure the nation for elections to take place nationwide. The timetable for the election has been released. Let us not wait until a few weeks to the election before we realize that time is not on our side and begin to seek for extension of timelines.
Time is of the essence, he says. Also, the National Security Advisor has directed heads of security and law enforcement agencies to scale up security and start profiling political actors who exhibit tendencies to subvert the electoral process. His representative, Mr. Sanusi Galadima, stated this at that meeting.
The NSA has noted with utmost concern the growing uncertainty heralding the conduct of party primaries for 2023 elections. This is in addition to the unabated spate of violence that threaten the upcoming up-cycle gubernatorial elections in Ekiti and Osun states. More worrisome is the unguarded utterances of some highly respected individuals and groups, which more often than not amplifies divisive narratives to the detriment of national security and stability. Accordingly, heads of security and law enforcement agencies have been tasked to step up close monitoring and profiling of political actors, no matter highly placed, who exhibit tendencies that subvert the electoral process, even as talks and other sponsors will equally be trailed for possible arrest and prosecution.
Meanwhile, it's the final day for the submission of forms in the APC. The Senate President Ahmed Lawan was one of the last to submit his, and this was done on his behalf by the state governor of Imo, Hope Uzodimma, and Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe, alongside several senators. The governor of Cross River State, Professor Benayade, also did same. By the way, there's still no word on the rumored ambition of former President Goodluck Jonathan. That shall be effectively resolved by the end of the day, hopefully. But let's get into the show. Tonight, we speak with yet another presidential aspirant. In fact, two of them. We talk about their plans and implementation blueprint. We'll lay this bare before you, the electorate, plus, the political intrigues. But first, let's bring you other top stories. Here's your political roundup.
Ahead of party primaries, a group under the aegis of Coalition of APC-concerned youths in Yobe State has pledged to resist any move by APC stakeholders in the state to impose on them a candidate. The youth who were seen carrying placards with different inscriptions drawn from Gulani, Gujba, Damaturu and Taramoa Federal Constituency say the current lawmaker representing the constituency has abandoned his people. According to them, only a competent person is needed, and any clueless decision or move by the APC stakeholders to impose a candidate on them would not be accepted. Ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Social Democratic Party has ruled out conditions to politicians who have shown interest to run for elective offices under the platform of the party. This came to the fore at a press briefing in Abuja by the acting national chairman, Supo Shonibare, who stated that the party, based on its mantra, will not be used as an opportunistic vehicle. Shonibare further stressed that the party will not welcome anyone that has a case pending in court or anyone that has been convicted, even if the person is now appealing that conviction. On the cost of the nomination funds, he disclosed that SDP has resolved to put 30% of the costs fixed by other political parties in a bid to encourage massive participation of Nigerians, including youths and women.
Following the intervention of several well-meaning Nigerians who had seen SDP as the alternate platform for power and saw SDP as the only alternative to PDP and APC.
The United Nations Development Programme and Ngige Africa have launched a project tagged 60% of Us, aimed at mobilizing 60% of eligible young voters to register and vote during the 2023 general elections. According to the Executive Director of Ngige Africa, Mr. Samson Itodo, the project aims at leveraging on the large number of potential first-time voters who are young people. This, according to him, can be achieved by increasing youth voter turnout from 33.5% to 60%. To complement INEC's voter mobilization initiatives through youth mobilization, digital and offline campaigns.
If 60% of young people vote in the 2023 elections, I guess Nigeria will be a better place for all. We will get the leaders that we deserve, and it will also say a lot about our democracy. And what does 60% mean? 60% means about 29 million young people from across different parts of the country coming out to vote in the next elections.
Leaders of Udom land in Benue State are demanding that the next governor of the state be zoned to the Southern Senatorial District. Leader of the group, the Benue Rebirth Movement, retired Major General Jeffrey Ejiga, told journalists in Jos Plateau State that elders of the Idoma nation have been soliciting for the emergence of a governor from the zone based on the agreement of zoning among political leaders in the state on the principle of equity and accommodation to all people of Benue State. The Labour Party has organized a sensitization rally in the Federal Capital Territory on the need for residents to get their permanent voters card. Chairman of the Abuja Municipal Council chapter of the party, Mr. Ifeanyi Uzochukwu, says the sensitization exercise is to ensure Nigerians participate in voting the right candidates into offices during the 2023 general elections.
The Labour Party, in conjunction with Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress, is conducting a sensitization exercise to educate the public about the upcoming election. They need to get the permanent voters card because that is our voice, that is our right.
Let's get into this. The decision of the PDP's 96 NEC meeting to throw the presidential ticket open is still causing ripples within and outside the party. I mean, what happens to the chances of the aspirants? Is the party really in touch with what has been described as the mood of the nation? And more importantly, the real issues Nigerians want to be tackled. Let's speak with our guest tonight. He's a technocrat turned politician with decades of experience in Nigeria's financial services sector, rising across commercial banks to the position of executive director. In 2013, he was appointed the secretary to the Akwa Ibom state government under the Godswill Akpabio administration, and 3 years after, he contested for the governorship seat, which he won. He was re-elected in 2019, and as he completes his tenure, he has his eyes on the nation's top job. We're joined on the program tonight by Governor Udom Emmanuel, the governor of Akwa Ibom State. It's great to have you on the program, Your Excellency. I'd like us to begin with your party, because there's a lot of, internal workings. The second highest organ of the PDP, that's the NEC, 2 days ago threw the presidential race open. I'd like to get your thoughts first. Are you pleased with that decision?
Thank you, Kayode, and let me use this opportunity first of all and appreciate PDP across the nation, in every ward of this nation, and also say here that I love the introductory part of who I am in politics, that I'm a professional in politics. In our profession, one watchword that always must play is discipline. So once that discipline comes in, and we always believe that party is supreme. So whatsoever decision is taken by the party, you are bound by that decision. So no individual can just come out and challenge a collective decision of the party. So whether you're pleased or not, it does not actually matter. You must fall in line because that's the decision of the party. But for myself as a person, I think we were actually thinking, not just me, we were actually thinking when we were holding the Southern Governors Forum, that's both APC and PDP, all the governors from the South in Nigeria. We actually made our opinion known, but if our party says that will not augur well with our party and the position of the party for today, and we don't have a choice. We must abide by what the party wants, and that's what we call discipline. So I'm okay with that.
So you are pleased with this decision?
Whether you're pleased or not, you know, I started by what I saying discipline. Discipline ensures that I must abide by what the party wants. So that's what I call discipline. So I cannot say anything contrary to what my party wants. So whether you're pleased or not, you know, always, there's always an option. If you don't like what one party does, I mean, you have an option. But in this case, I think so for me to still abide by PDP means that I'm okay with what they are saying and what they are doing. So I think it's okay by me.
Well, I see that you're being a party man here, but you talked about the southern governors, you know, coming together and making that resolution, Asaba, Lagos, Enugu, and in other fora as well. So what does this say really about the party? Do you think that maybe the party didn't really put to mind or put on the table the agitations from the southern governors? Now, this is across party lines.
Well, I would not say so, because before the party arrived at that decision, they set up a committee that had membership across all the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. So if it's a representative of all the states in Nigeria, and they came up with that resolution or that conclusion and that decision, as this case may be, and I had somebody representing me there. So if at the end of the day, that's what the committee decided, I think I'll stay with that.
I mean, I've lost some of the things you said there, but I got it up to the point where you said you had someone representing you at that meeting.
No, let me repeat myself, Kayode. I said that all the 36 states sent in representative into that committee. So whatsoever decision that committee really arrived at is binding on all of us, because it was a committee set up at NEC and having representatives in all the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. So if that's what the committee had recommended to the party, we are bound by that recommendation.
But you know, it would seem as though there is, you know, the mood of the nation on the one hand, and there is maybe the mood within the party. And there's always been that conversation about, you know, standard, or at least ensuring that they both measure up. Yes, what you want within your party is important, but the general outlook of the nation is also a very important point. Would you say that your party considered the mood of the nation in terms of justice, equity, and fairness? I mean, that statement that was put out by Southern governors use those particular words, justice, equity, and fairness. Would you say your party considered that in making this decision?
I think in this case it's extremely difficult to measure. How do you measure justice, equity, and fairness? We could have been able to measure that if PDP was already in the government. Right now we don't have government house. So I think these are some of the things that play. They were trying to marry the mood of the nation and the mood of the party. It is now left for the party. It doesn't actually matter. The committee have done its work. So if the members of the party feel strongly that the mood of the nation says the thing must come to the South, so they have every right on 29th of May to go and vote a Southerner to be the next president. So they still have a platform to express that. So it's not all roads closed, actually. It's actually, a way out that, look, even though the committee said this or the party ratified this, but the delegates still have a role to play here. They can get to the nomination Congress and just say that, look, during the primaries, and say, look, we want to swing by the mood of the nation. And in that case, let's vote a Southerner. So that would be perfect. But for now, I will still suggest that we stay with what the party had come up with.
Do you then agree with those who say that maybe the southern governors or southern politicians generally were outplayed politically in this one?
It's difficult to arrive at that conclusion because as somebody like me, I don't just jump into conclusion if I don't have enough facts. I know facts do change, but here I don't even have facts at all to actually jump at that conclusion. So I have to be a little bit careful so that I don't jump into conclusion when I don't have the facts.
Well, speak to us about this, Governor Emmanuel, because now that this has come, there are concerns about how, people within your party, both aspirants and the rest alike, are taking this on board. Are you concerned that this might split your party?
Well, any good party man would love that the party will work stronger if we are united and speak the same language and have that basic understanding. But I can reassure you that PDP is very strong. I don't see anything dividing us now. As we've just discussed, I believe as far as that person is a Nigerian, the person will understand the mood of the nation. Let me also give you an example. If you are boarding a plane, a lot of people don't even matter, a lot of people don't bother who is a pilot in the cockpit. All you're after is let the airplane take you safely to your destination. And in this case, we even have a role to play, as I said, during the primaries. I believe every single delegate that will come for PDP primaries, presidential primaries, is a Nigerian. So if the person is coming with a Nigerian blood with him, he will come with the mood of the nation also with him. And he has every platform to express that mood through the ballot. So it's not closed, as the case may be. It's not closed. I wouldn't say it's closed, because there is still an open door for them to express that. So I wouldn't think that would divide the party. Why should that divide the party?
Right.
I don't think that should divide the party, because the party can still make a decision in line with the mood of the nation at the primaries. Okay. So that shouldn't divide the party.
Okay, we'll get into some of the major issues now, but just to be clear, you're saying whether it goes to the north, south, or whatever region, you will support that candidate and stay within the PDP.
I'm a very loyal person. I don't see myself leaving PDP for any reason. So wherever it goes, you see, it's one thing about politics is if we do what we say, it will help us a whole lot. If the mood is towards a particular direction, let's also follow it up with the votes, and everything will be fine. So it's one thing for saying this is the mood of the nation, and when it gets to voting, and then we vote something different, why should that make me leave the party? I'm here to support my party, and because we have a lot to offer in 2023. So I must support whoever emerges so that we can, but I'm so sure, no matter what happens, I'll be the one to emerge. So because we are aiming towards rescuing and restoring a whole lot of lost glory and past prosperity of this nation.
Well, I saw that coming, really, Your Excellency, and I didn't expect less, expecting that this will swing your way. So let's talk about what your party, or you specifically, what you have to offer Nigerians. I was trying to take a look at some of the economic indices of your state. I mean, across various levels. And one of the figures that jumped at me, and this one touches at the heart of, the economic issues in Nigeria, is unemployment rate. As at the last count, the figure for unemployment in your state is 51%. And if Nigerians would just extrapolate simply, they'll wonder, how would you then do it in a nation that is 33%? It's even higher than the average of the national unemployment figure. So can you maybe give an explanation to that?
No, Kayode, if you didn't bring that up, I would have been a little bit disappointed. You see, that same question I've answered in live programs not less than 5 times. Because you see, statistics, how did they collect the sample size compared to a population size? What was the population size? That's number one. And if you check that also statistics, it included some states that even yourself will doubt the figures. Let me point out something to you. If you go around Nigeria today, this is one state that every single local government is a construction site. And every single construction site, youths are employed. A lot of people are employed. As of today, we are just one government that, since I came in, the number of doctors we've hired, the number of teachers we've hired, even just last year, the year before, immediately I came in, we took almost like 3,500 teachers. Let's even begin with education. Just last year, I took additional 1,000 into secondary school. Then right now, another 1,100 into primary school is ongoing to be concluded. Then you also look at a lot of infrastructure development in every single local government. All these employ people. And look at the number of factories also that we've set in. This also provide indirect jobs outside the direct jobs. So it calls to question, how did they collect this data? And you also see a whole lot of other states that will question you. I don't want to mention those states. You see a whole lot of questions, that will bring it to questioning. How did you take the sample size? Who did you talk to? Where did you get to? Who in government was, because when people try to collect, sample size, there's always somebody they need to talk to. Who did they talk to? Did you even talk to the statistics office in the state? So we've actually brought this up, and a lot of people have actually doubted the integrity of that figure. We don't know how they came about it. We only woke up and saw a publication. We don't know how it came about it. And if this the second state in Nigeria with the highest foreign direct investment, this also another state that as of today we've attracted not less than 22 different industries. This is another state that today, in terms of aviation development, in a global perspective, we're all around. This is the only state also, in terms of all the gateways to industrialization, we are on the forefront. Right. How can you still say that same state is in the forefront of unemployment? It's completely conflicting, it's contradictory. So we cannot fathom how they arrive at their statistical figure. So I don't want to rely on that. Except I'm carried along, let me see the numbers, see how they pick the numbers, see their population size, see the sample size, see also where the concentration was. So with that now, we'll be able to say, oh, this is what happened, and this is what happened. And how can you also conduct such an exercise? And you didn't talk to anybody in the whole state.
Statistics agency. Are you saying that it is not true?
It's not true. Strictly not true. I can challenge that. So I can challenge that anywhere and let the person also bring the figures and show me how he arrived at.
The natural question then will be,
yes.
It's been said that when the figures seem to favor, we always embrace it. But when it doesn't show, speak well, we don't like to embrace it. We distance ourselves from it. But I think what will trounce this argument is to have your own unemployment figure. What is, if you have, what is the unemployment figure for your state? At least, let's put it out there so Nigerians can weigh that.
Pre-COVID, what we had pre-COVID as at end of December 20 into the first quarter of 2020 was actually lower than 34%. Post-COVID, because we now open up again, we open almost all the construction sites. As of today, the figures for 2021 December is not yet ready because they are still collecting. It's a cumbersome exercise. But by our estimate, based on what the Ministry of Economic Development and Statistics Department should be telling us, they actually expected it to drop because within that period in time, the teachers we employed in secondary schools have resumed. And then the 1,100 as writing now, I won't count those ones. But because we've also increased a whole lot of funding, capital investment into the infrastructure, is employing a whole lot of people. So by their estimate, it should come much lower than that. So we are actually lower than the country average. That's by our statistics department. It can never be higher.
Well, again, as I always say,
December figures are not yet out,
of course, and compare them. But
yeah, I will
let you talk about that particular issue, which a lot of people would like you to speak to. But then, aside economy, we have the issue of security. It's one thing to govern a state. It's yet another thing to govern a nation that has, various states, ethnicities, religion, and all of that. And don't forget their agitations. Is it true federalism? Is it, proper distribution of resources and all of that? But we'll need to go to break now, Your Excellency. And when we return, we'll take you up on all of these issues and lay them bare before Nigerians. So please stay with us. Welcome back. Let's continue our conversation with Governor Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom State, who is now presidential aspirant in the People's Democratic Party. Thank you for staying with us, Your Excellency. So, yes, the conversation about the economy is endless, quite all right. But because of our time, let's skip to security now. And, you've had time to speak with people and, Nigerians. And some of the things you've said about security is that you're going to employ intelligence, technology. You even gave a percentage of, the mix in ensuring that we have, good security in Nigeria. These ideas really, some would say, they're everywhere. These are things you hear from time to time. But there's always a question about really bringing this to bear in implementing it. So what are you going to do different? Yes, we know we need technology, we know we need intelligence, but what would you be doing differently?
Thank you, Kayode, and welcome back. I just want to say something here that is very specific. You might need to check the opinion of all the security agencies. This time around, it's not statistics. It's something that is real on ground, that you can feel, you can touch. Find out the opinion from all the security agencies. What's their opinion about Akwa Ibom today? Then let them compare that with the past. I think that will answer your question clear. And I don't also agree with you when you said that, you know, a state, if you cannot run a state, you can't run a nation. If you cannot run a small business, you can't run a multinational. The principles of management are the same. The 7 A's of management remains what we were taught right from management 101 till professorial chair. So absolutely no difference. All you need to do now is your personal leadership trait, which is anchored on your training, your exposure, and hands-on experience, your antecedents. So for somebody to come and tell me, no, there's a difference. If you can do this much at the subnational, when you don't control policies, you don't control all the security agencies, you are not the commander-in-chief, it means you can do 10 times more if you control the policies and then you control the security agencies. So I do not agree with you. If you can run a state for 8 years and have that score from the security agencies, I think you can do much better when you are the commander-in-chief. All the security agencies report to you. You can actually have draft, the direction, the policy direction of what you want to do. You control the policies. I think you can do much better. I can do much better. So I believe if I get into a situation where I have control over the policies and all the security agencies, it will be much better. Let me say something. All these things are not rocket science. How are others in other places doing it that you think we cannot do it? Once the passion is right, nothing is impossible. So if the passion is right here, my brother, I believe we can get it right. Well, this country, we have the manpower, we have the people that can do it.
Okay, let me break this.
If we are doing it at the state, I believe I can do it much better at the national level.
Okay, so let me break this down just to simplify this. What will be your first security move or strategic security decision in office, seeing the current situation we're in as a nation? I mean, battling banditry, kidnapping, terrorism, and the rest. What will be your first decisive move?
Is it a security decision or an approach? Because even the approach I'm talking about, you've already mentioned the approach in which I will adopt. But let me also say something here. Do you believe, even right here, a whole lot of those bandits and so on, they live within a community? And that community have people, they have youths. So the engagement, even of those people within that community, had actually not be explored yet. There are so many things, and unfortunately, the details of the community and what you do in your state cannot be unveiled 100% in front of camera. So it's a very sensitive matter. That you want me to unveil everything I do in the state in front of the camera. It will be extremely difficult. But I want to assure you, use the result to judge what to expect. Use the result to draft your expectation of me. Use the report from other security agencies, the police, the army, just let them know, the SSS. They can provide you the report about Akwa Ibom, the security situation, now and before now. I think you can use that, because it could be extremely difficult for me to sit down and break in pieces what I'm doing, because these are security matters. It's not actually discussed openly to the minutest detail before camera. Why not use the situation we are right now and then determine? I keep saying, if I can do that at the subnational level, where even the police commissioner is not reporting to me, how much more as the commander-in-chief, when you are really controlling the policies and all the agencies and all the security apparatus? Well, I think I should do much better.
It's important to also lay this bare as much as possible to Nigerians who will be doing the eventual election or selection process, so they know what to expect, at least, and hold you to your words. Because in times past, we've had, aspirants and eventual candidates, outline what they will do, and it's important to have that. But I know you've had a very long day, and I must congratulate you
something there?
On
those
that.
Aspirants that gave outline of what they can do had nothing to show that they've done. Me, I have something to show that I've done. So use what I've done to actually, you know, even in mathematics, at times you use what you have in hand, they say extrapolate or do a projection. I
understand.
I think you can in this case.
Well, let's wind down. As I was saying, you've had a long day, I understand, and I was trying to congratulate you on the project that was inaugurated today. The coconut, setup, and I imagine what this will mean for the state. But help us also to maybe extrapolate from that one, because, as I said, you have perhaps your advantages as a state. They say comparative advantage. But for Nigeria, if you were the president, what would you hold as a comparative advantage of Nigeria, which you want to maybe sell to the world to boost our economy, boost our naira? What would be your focus as we wind down?
One thing is, every single thing we need to prosper as a country, we have it in Nigeria. From, just name it, solid minerals, the weather, every single thing, and these are aspects that have actually flourished in the past. So Nigeria is not a country you start looking for competitive advantage at all. Not now. Now is actually, how can you put things together to actually derive expectation of what the people actually need. What Nigeria needs, Udom Emmanuel is already offering to his people. And right now you are trying to show the coconut refinery that we just opened today. This as a result of creativity, ideas, thinking outside the box. So this is all Nigeria needs, because everything that we need as a country, I think we already have. So if we can actually have a president like myself, based on what you are showing right now, this is clearly a thinking out of the box. Looking at coconuts, you can see people were using coconut to, to only eat domestic use, rice and so on. Today we are saying, look, we can turn this coconut to a major foreign exchange earner, where a liter of virgin coconut oil is going for $6 a liter, and about $1,320 something dollars per barrel. Right. Compared to crude oil that is only 110 on the average now, and that's because the market is an aberration because of the situation. So this is really thinking, and that's the kind of leader you need now. Not trying to look for what will be a competitive advantage of Nigeria. Nigeria is already blessed in almost everything. Is it the weather? Is it in terms of agri? Is it in terms of shoreline? Right. Mention what is lacking in Nigeria. Oil, every single thing. So I don't think what we are lacking now is to sell to the world. But what we are lacking is to have a creative thinker like Udom Emmanuel as the president, who will now put these things together.
Well, let's wind down. Let's wind down in 30 seconds because of our time, and I understand you've had a long day as well. In terms of uniting the nation, there are those saying that, referendum or, let's have our own state. Are you the kind of president that would give ears to those agitations and give, okay, if you want a referendum, you can have it. If you want to stay, you can have it. 30 seconds.
I think I'm the kind of president that believes in one Nigeria, and I stand firm to that. This country, the agitation is just because the economy is bad. Fix the economy, a lot of these agitations will reduce. We have a whole lot to gain as a country the way we are right now. So those agitations will not come once you fix the economy and once also the purchasing power of the people are improved. There was a time in this country not quite long ago where a young man who is just starting work, a young assistant manager will walk across the road and then pick a new car and use and give post-dated checks and it will be valid. So we need to create a middle class in Nigeria. The essence of that lack of that middle class is also causing all this agitation, because these are the people that have a louder voice than even the people on the, because this is a bracket we call the insight bracket. So we need to really take care of this bracket. Okay. And the only thing we can do that is through creativity and ideas, but everything that we need as a country we have. Just for somebody to put them together, and let's go back to prosperity time. That's why I keep saying, commit the man, commit the restoration of Nigeria, the man that can rescue and restore this country, both in economy and security.
Well, we have to run now.
Nigeria needs, Udom is already providing.
Well, we have to run now. It's been quite an interesting conversation with you. We'll probably do more in the coming days, but we'd like to thank you for your time on the program tonight. We've been speaking with Governor Udom Emmanuel, who is vying for the PDP ticket and ultimately for the president of Nigeria. Thank you for your time, Your Excellency, tonight.
Thank you.
Our next guest is arguably the youngest presidential aspirant, a former presidential candidate of the People's Coalition Party, PCP, in the 2019 presidential election. He's now one of those aiming to clinch the presidential ticket of the APC. We're joined by Dr. Nicholas Felix on the program tonight. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
You know, you're considered by some newcomer, a new face in politics, and you'll understand why for those people. So let me ask you, if you can, in 2-3 sentences, who is Nicholas Felix?
Once again, thank you for having me tonight. Nicholas Felix, I'm a Nigeria-born citizen. I'm a pastor, a father, and a successful businessman.
So how or why, with all of this that you have mentioned, why are you trying to be president? What do you have that other candidates, or at least those vying for it, don't have?
Yeah, actually, I got into the political arena because of an insult. I've said that severally. Politics was not one thing I dreamt of doing. But January 2018, a black American insulted a Nigerian right in my front. And I couldn't sleep that night. It felt like, is it a cause to be a Nigerian? That night, I was really troubled. I said to myself, no more complaint, I need to throw my hat in the race. That's why I came in the first place. Now, as you know, Nigerians are yearning for youth. Nigeria needs, they're yearning, they're crying for somebody new. And apparently, I'm the youngest person and the only person among both bigger parties who hasn't had any office. This is what Nigeria needs at this time. So I'm trusting that come May 30th, the delegates in the APC will do the right thing and yield to the beat of Nigerians.
All right. So, I mean, that's still some distance, but let's still stay on your candidacy as a person. You spent at least a substantial part of your adult life outside of the country, close to 20 years, I imagine now. Yeah. And there'll be questions as to how someone who is outside the country in the United States, who, I mean, naturally, you're not here. You don't at least feel what Nigerians are feeling. You can't say firsthand. There will be questions as to the propriety of you now trying to come and fix the Nigerian situation.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've spent, I lived 22 years in Nigeria before going to America, and I lived 18 years in America. I see my going to America as going there to study. I've lived in a system that worked. I've lived in a system that is secured, where there's no power failure, where the economy works. So that system is what I'm bringing now to Nigeria. Apparently, our leaders are still used to what is not working here. It has become a norm. So for somebody like me coming from a system that works, that's what I'm bringing. I see myself going to America. I've gone to study. I've learned the system. The system is in me. And that's what I'm bringing now that is quite different from every other candidate or aspirant in the race.
But the American system is different from the Nigerian system.
But
the American challenges are far away from the Nigerian challenge, the Nigerian reality. So how are you going to marry that? That's a big one.
But I think that's what we want to be like. Every nation, we're copying what is right. America is already a developed nation. What other nation is there to copy from other than this developed nation? You talk about a police system. It's quite different from the way it is done here. If what we have is not working, we have to learn from them. And that's why today you see even companies, private companies, they send their staff abroad to London, to Canada. Why are they sending them there? They're sending them to go and learn what is working. If the system we have is not working, I'm quite sure we should learn from them. That's why our politicians go there for medical treatment. That's why they go there for tourism. If the system there is not working, I'm sure they will not be going there. If they go there to get help for their personal self, if they send their children to school abroad, right, it means something is working there and they like it. That's why they're going there.
You're a U.S. citizen, am I right?
Yes.
Do you pay your taxes in Nigeria?
I've not paid tax because I have not much going on here in Nigeria.
Do you have a political structure here?
Yes. I came third in the last 2019 election. You know, some of us have not had a platform maybe on, wide on TV, but we've been doing some groundwork. We go from street to street. We have people who we talk to who, do the groundwork for us. So we have, it may not be as solid as some of these political gladiators, but we have some structures here.
You know that about you coming third,
yes.
If you look at that ballot sheet, and this is something that has been explained, if you could just take a look at the ballot sheet, your party at that time, which has now been deregistered, the PCP, has the same colors with the PDP. So the PDP has the green and red. Your party too has a green and red. PCP sounds like PDP. So that was a natural explanation as to how at least you got over 100,000 votes, because there were candidates like the late Obadiah Lafia, Omoyele Sowore. There was a lot of other candidates that people will say, at least we know their names compared to you. So perhaps that's the explanation and not the political structure.
Yeah, but that's what people have been saying. But I challenge everyone to go and look at other candidates in my party. If this was a mistake by party name or party logo, that mistake should have replicated itself in all of our other candidates. But none happened. So if I'm the only person in the party who came third position, what happened to our other candidates who were on the same ballot paper? Why didn't the mistake replicate itself? So that's not the case. What some of us did, we went from street to street.
Right.
We canvassed people. Now, in as much as I like to take credit for being the third position, when you look at how many people voted, over 27 million people, and you compare it to 110, I don't think that's something to be even jubilating about, because the gap is quite much.
So now you're in the APC.
Yes.
When did you join?
Last year.
Last year?
Yes.
Oh, not this year?
Not officially, but it was just, I had an issue with my party as soon as the election was over. So they expelled me from the party because I refused to go with the coalition. So as of then, I already knew I wasn't coming back, even before it was deregistered. So we had to look for where to go pitch our tent.
But officially, you just joined the APC this year?
Yes.
This year?
Yes.
So talk to us about, because you're in the APC, when you were campaigning then, you had, very strong words for the opposition party, or rather the party in power at that time, the APC. But now you are in the APC with people you had hitherto condemned in previous interviews you have granted. Do you still think the Burhari government is a failure?
There's much the Burhari government should have done. That
no, do you still think the Burhari government is a failure?
It depends on the area you're looking at it. In security-wise, they haven't done much. So the nation is not safe. Yes, I'm a part of the APC. Doesn't mean everything has changed now. The nation is still not safe. There's much to be done, and that's one of the reasons we joined them, because if something is not working well, instead of complaining, I think you can join to fix it.
To fix it.
That's why we joined the APC.
There's this tweet you put out on March the 30th saying President Burhari should go beyond the routine emergency security meetings whenever tragedy strikes and be proactive. You went on to say the first responsibility of every serious government is protection of lives and property. It's not out of place to say this government has failed.
In terms of security, this administration should have done more.
Has failed. That was your word here.
Yes. This administration, there's no doubt. I'm not going to stand here and paint that the nation is safe. Killings are still taking place. I think those who surround the president, there's a lot they need to do in letting the president know what's going on in the nation, and the nation needs security. The nation is not safe.
So you stand by that tweet?
Like I said, that's why we're here. That's why we joined the APC, to fix what is wrong in the party. And that's why we're here. We're coming with something totally different. We're coming with something to reform the party. And gladly, they know this, and they accepted us and accepted me with open hands. And the reception has been overwhelming.
Are you still against older candidates running for president in terms that you said they should retire and all of that? Are you still against that?
Oh, yes, I'm against older people running for president.
But you congratulated Joe Biden. You put out a tweet when he was president, said, congratulations, Joe Biden, 77 years old. Or isn't that old enough for you?
No, I mean, you look at the American system. The system is working. They have a system that, even if you take the worst man and put in that system, he's not going to fail. So the system is working, even though he's old. He's been in the system since the 80s. So if the system is working, you have no choice but to congratulate him. And compared with the opposition then, it was the better choice for us.
So that's like double standard for you now?
No, not necessarily double standard. Okay, let's look at the Nigeria system. President Muhammadu Buhari was president, I think, in 1981. You look at when Obasanjo was there, you look at all our leaders. These guys, when they were young and were in power, Nigeria was working. The Nigerians of the 1980s, you can't be compared to the Nigeria we have now. So when we had younger leaders, when they were in office in their 20s, in their 30s, Nigeria was good. Now that all of them are old, Nigeria is nothing to write home about. So when it comes to the system, we need to inject young people into the system to bring Nigeria back to what it was, even greater.
So let's maybe anchor on this point. I mean, we have challenges that are clear. Let's talk about the economy, because that's an area a lot of Nigerians, feel very much. Do you, and let me just start, do you know the inflation rate in the country right now?
It's quite high. I don't know the exact percentage, but it's quite high.
Unemployment rates?
I checked, I saw between 33 to 45%.
What about the poverty rate?
The poverty rate is pretty high.
Pretty high. At what figure?
I don't know the exact percentage, but it's pretty high. But I know I checked the unemployment rate.
So
yes.
what do you plan to bring it to? Because I ask if you know, because at least if you don't know where we are right now, it's hard to tell where we want to be. So what do you plan to bring it down to as we wind down now?
Okay. Now, it's hard for me to talk about the economy if I don't address the issue of security, because you cannot grow an economy when you have insecurity in a nation.
Right.
Now, I'm just going to dive on we have to fix the security problem so we can talk about the economy. These are some of the few things we must do. Number one, the other day the president said there are no more space on the federal level, and everybody was mad. It's actually true. The federal government cannot employ people, neither the state can employ people or local government. Who are the ones that create employment in the nation? They are the private sectors.
Right.
It is the job of the government to empower the private sector. How do we do that? We invite foreign investors. Now, no foreign investor is coming to Nigeria because the country is not safe. I'll just give this perfect example. If you get $1 million right now, will you go to Kano or Sokoto to plant a factory? I'm sure the answer is no, because you know exactly the day riot is going to break out, all your investment is going to go down the drain. So when the nation is fixed, we have to start inviting foreign investors. Apart from just foreign investors, are you aware that we have rich Nigerians who take their money abroad all the time? We need to create an incentive whereby we invite them to bring their money back to our nation to invest. Let me just quickly say this. I know we're out of time.
We're totally, if you could do that in 10 seconds.
I have a policy where when I become president, I'm going to give a 12-month pardon to every Nigerian to bring your money back to the country. We'll put a percentage rate between 10 to 25%, depending on the amount. We don't care how you got the money. We don't care where you stored the money. Just bring the money back to the economy.
You don't care where they got the money from?
It's called pardon. Yes, you hear it out from me.
Well,
because
let's
if
these
nations are taking our money from our leaders and storing them in their country, I think we can do the same and have them bring the money back.
Well, we have to anchor at this point, but I'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Nicholas Felix, who is an aspirant on the platform of the APC. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's been our show for tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. It's a Friday, so make the weekend count. I'm Kayode Okikelu to have a restful night. Bye for now.